My name is Nick Rabah, and this is my Youth Ministry 302 presentation. First, I'd like to say that this was an incredible project for me, especially since being a full-time ministry, I don't have a lot of time where I'm involved with youth. So I had to step out of my comfort zone to visit youth and youth ministries and to gauge exactly what's going on in churches these days. But I was blessed by the conversations that I had and by the people that I met. I'm going to start by the first project, the interview of the three different age groups. My first interview was with Aiden, age 11, and he had some pretty telling things to say, but what really amazed me was the difference in some of the answers between the ages of 11 and 17. When I asked Aiden how did he see himself in 10 years, he said that he wanted to be a forest ranger and that he still wanted to be engaged in church. Of course, most kids want to be firemen, policemen, so this didn't surprise me at all. When I asked how he would define success, he said completing something that you start. And that's a really good answer for an 11-year-old. When they asked him what his greatest fear in life was, I was expecting something like not walking with the Lord or, disappointing his parents. But he said his greatest fear in life is heights and spiders. So I guess that's an 11-year-old answer. His parents were there as well. And I asked as a parent, what do you desire for your child as they grow up? And they said that he would walk with God and that he would be who God created him to be. And that his relationship with Christ would be rock solid. And then when I asked them what their expectations of a youth minister were, the answers were pretty common across the board. They wanted that the youth minister be above reproach. They wanted him to walk like Christ, and so that their child had someone to model. And again, that was a pretty similar answer for all three age groups. And then when I asked how, as a parent, do you support or help your child in their growth, they said devotions, family prayer, help them develop their independence, and lead by example. My next interview was with Mackenzie, 15, and she is actually the sister of Aiden. When I asked her how does she see herself in 10 years, and again, just a small difference in age, she said finishing school, and she'd like to be a teacher or a veterinarian and start her own business. Definitely her thinking was a little bit out there, much further than her brother. When I asked her how she would define success, she said striving to reach her goals and working hard to achieve them. And her greatest fear, and I think this is a lot of people, not just teenagers, not succeeding in her endeavors. Her parent, again, is the same parent as Aiden. Their relationship with Jesus is her top priority and to follow his will. And that for the youth minister, that he's an example of Jesus and that their leadership qualities help their children grow and mature. And how, as a parent, do they help their child in their growth? The answers are similar, of course, finding balance in their lives and setting priorities. My last interview was with Kirsten, age 17. When I asked her how does she see herself in 10 years, she said that she wants to be working and wants to be a counselor. She's not sure in what respect, but she wants to be a counselor in ministry to women. She wants to be married and have a family, and she would like to be a homeowner by that time. Amazing answers for a 17-year-old. When I asked her how would you define success, she said that success is looking like Jesus. Awesome answer. Being in the will of God and being financially independent. And then when I asked her what her greatest fear in life was, she said disappointing people and not living up to their expectations. So she strives for a lot there. Parents are godly parents. I know them personally. And I said, what do you desire the most for your child as they grow? And they said to live and find the will of God. And this will encompass or fulfill everything else. When I asked what are their expectations of a youth minister, they said that they will come alongside the family and to teach them about the Lord and be an encouragement and an example. And then I said, how as a parent do you help your child in their growth? And they said to help her to be responsible by confronting issues, taking them to church, listening and discussing different issues, and watching their relationships and who they associate with, which is a good answer because I think far too many parents don't really monitor what kind of relationships their children are engaged in. The next step of my project was to interview a pastor about some of the roles that they play as a youth minister. I met with Pastor Jonathan, who is pastor or youth pastor at Living Hope here in Lenore. I asked him as a teacher, what is his role as a teacher and the goals and how does he accomplish his goals? He said he's called to give out of the overflow of his time to kids, present his kids with a curriculum he has worked through himself, and provide a safe and interactive environment to students to learn. Sounds like a mission statement there. But he also says that he wants to be a place where kids feel invited to respond to Jesus and to bring things to a point of application, study, prep, illustrate, and things of that nature. As a pastor, his role and his goals and the way he accomplishes them is to be a caretaker of Christ's sheep. He says, before I lead, he must follow. He must be present and available in good situations and bad, and to be an example, and to do a lot of self-evaluation and self-reflection. As an administrator, he says that he can make complicated communications simple, and I think that could go anywhere, whether it's church, home, or business. He wants to inspire, equip, and support those that he leads, including his volunteers and parents. He wants them to have a place to serve and make a difference, and make intentional and thoughtful communication as he reach out to his team as much as possible. As a leader, he wants to be a humble servant, driven by love and obedience, and distinguished by his character, courage, and influence. He wants to be at a higher place of worship and excellence, demanding of himself to live in a culture of excellence based on the person of Jesus Christ. And he wants to lead himself first and organize with integrity. As a developer, he says planting seeds and scattering seed points to development of people and their redemptive purposes. He says he wants to leave every kid better than the way he met them or found them, and to see the development firsthand. And he wants to be able to partner with parents because he knows that parents are the front line of youth ministry. Without them, youth ministry does not occur. And that is an excellent answer, and that was driven home by the movie that we watched, Divided. How does knowing your roles and goals as a minister help you to be more intentional and effective in ministry? And these were reflection questions for myself. I said you can effectively focus on a certain area without being overwhelmed, and diligent when necessary, or delegate when necessary. It is when you hone in on your strengths and develop your weaknesses and lean on others. Do you feel that this youth minister is well-rounded in each goal? I do, because I can see the fruit of the ministry. Kids that know and love God, and parents that are active in their roles in the ministry. There were nearly 60 volunteers in this particular ministry. Do you feel this youth minister takes seriously each role? I believe this pastor has taken each role seriously. And as far as this youth minister, do I know this youth minister well? Do you see these qualities displayed in his ministry? I do not know this minister well, but I know the church and their reputation for serving God and the youth ministries are full, and it's overflowing. Now, in relation to the project that we have to work on, I went to Water Life Church, and their grand opening was this past Sunday, and I got to see the youth ministry firsthand. There was a lot of things that happened there. There's a big overflow room, and kids were involved with iPods and games and Xboxes, and there was food, and there was all kinds of things, which is very inviting. And there was a great parent-to-student ratio, and I thought that was really done well. Do I feel like this event accomplished its purposes? I said yes, and that it was truly a celebration of God, enlarging and giving them a physical home of their own where they had been renting for a long time before that. Was the event biblically purposeful? I said yes, Jesus was the focal point, and his faithfulness and how we want to maintain responsibility with what he has given us. Was the gospel central? Yes, we went in and we discussed responsibilities and the need to continue to be more forward and focused and not just grow comfortable or tired and act like we've arrived somewhere. Was the event professional and well planned out? Absolutely. They've been waiting on this for years. Hands down, this event was professional. We had lots of attendants, greeters, ushers, prayer rooms, next steps, banners. It was absolutely amazing. Was the event relational in approach? Yes, the event was relational, and that it met the needs of middle schoolers and teens alike. What were the strengths of the event and the weaknesses? Only about half of the high schoolers attended, which was definitely a weakness, from the morning service. There is a disconnect between getting them from the morning service with their parents to the evening service, which is truly dedicated to just the youth. Also, the topic that they seem to discuss seemed to throw some of them off. Plenty of adults, use of media, games, and things were there to draw them. Is this an event that you would recommend or even attempt in your student ministry? Yes, this was a fabulous church with a great leadership team and a heart to make more disciples. And there were many involved parents and volunteer teens that were there as well. Overall, my conclusion of youth ministry is that youth ministry does work when you get parents involved and the whole church involved in it. Thank you.